Welcome to another weekly featured business brought to you by Visibility Impact and your host, James Moffat, where he will gracefully take our featured guest on a personal and business journey and stories that will inspire, educate, and engage you.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Featured Business brought to you by your host, myself, James Moffat, and Visibility Impact. Today we have our 101st guest. So the new guest going into the new 100th series. All right. So welcome, Natasha. All the way
Hello,
from...
James.
Hello.
Hello, everybody.
And Natasha, because I'm terrible with names, I'm going to ask you to pronounce your full name.
Natasha Alina Kulea. It's my full name.
Perfect. Now, I would fail miserably if I tried to say that. So welcome. So as I said, we've had our 100th guest. So you're the first one into the new season of the next 100. So this is also significant. And I believe one is a significant number for you as well.
Yes, it's a significant number, quite significant. I'm born on 1st of 10th month. So one is everywhere. I live on my house number. It's again one first. So I have a lot of one. So It's just normal to be your 101 guest. And I'm really happy to be here. And I hope that we will share some very inspirational stories together. And I will tell you more, but I'm waiting for your guideline. And what do you think that will be interesting to tell?
Right. Anything that you say will be interesting. I've actually looked at your profile, and just for the audience, I mean, I sent out a questionnaire first, so I'm not blindly leading this. So I have some areas that I want to focus on. I mean, your profile is great. I've looked at some of the work that you've done or are doing. And yeah, we're going to talk about that as we go. But typically how we start this, we take you on a bit of a memory lane trip back through your childhood. Any significant memories that you want to share with us? And then we can pick those out. Could be absolutely anything. Could be a hobby, an interest, an activity, something that was kind of a pivoting point in your life. It could happen in the childhood, could happen later on, and so on. So it's just about getting to know you, and then we'll come up to kind of what you're doing now, and so the audience can learn a bit more about you. And as I said before, we'll share these links afterwards in the notes, so then people can connect with you if that's what you wish, and how they're going to connect to you, and so on. What social media they should follow. For me, because you had everything in Romanian, it wasn't always easy to understand, but thankfully for Google Translate, you can actually translate a lot. So you actually get a good impression. So Natasha, welcome. So tell us first of all, where you are. Where are you living now, and where were you born?
I'm born in Tulcea, a small town near Delta, Romanian Delta. I am now living currently in Bucharest. I lived 8 years in Sofia, so Dobrou Troboian. Otherwise, I will be feeling like I'm again on the couch of my psychoanalysis, because I had some two years actually for my self-development, self-improvement. And of course, we started with childhood. So again, what can I tell you? I was always a very curious child, very attached to nature and animals in my first years. People were a bit too noisy for me, or too competitive. These are my first feelings that I had about people generally, that they try too much. I liked the quietness of and the silence and the peace and the harmony that I found them in nature in the beginning.
So how old were you when you started to feel that in nature? Because I mean, I have 3 small kids. When I take them into the forest, I tell them just to stand still and listen and then describe what they actually hear. And if they can see something, because they're normally too noisy and they're eating and playing around, that they forget the nature. They're in it, but they don't feel it. So at what age did you feel it?
Actually, these are my first memories. So I always felt this since the beginning. The people were the ones that they were troubling me, let's say, because I perceive them as being very noisy, very competitive, and I like the harmony. And the harmony, I found it in nature and in animals. I don't know if you ever, because we were in a country village, so I was staying near some lambs. They were very small and smelling like milk. And it was so much quiet around them and so much peace that I really enjoy being in that moment. So for me, it's harder to understand the other version that you are telling me, that you need to feel the peace, because I always felt it.
And now, do you get much opportunity to get out into nature?
Now I have it in me, this peace. So I can find it in nature, and now I can find it in people. I don't know if it's an upgrade version of me, but I hope that it is. Now, even in the most crowded times, I can still feel this harmony. I think that it's some sort of inner equilibrium that we all need.
No, absolutely. It's kind of a detox. It's to get out of the city. And I mean, you've got all kind of the noise, as in, I mean, not just the audible noise, but the noise of the pollution, the environment, the Wi-Fi, the connections, the mobile, everything. I mean, it's just too busy. Sometimes you need to extract yourself out of it and then also experience the beauty of nature. And
yes.
Yeah, I feel that harmony. I feel relaxed if I just go for a walk on my own. I mean, we're lucky to be back onto a forest, and just walking through the forest. I mean, you meet lots of different people there. I mean, people out there running and so on. But you can find a quiet place and just absorb the ambience of being out there in the nature. And I think everybody needs that, because it is kind of a detoxing, but also a reconnection with who you really are.
I know, but after a while, it's like a mind training, because it's the same when you, let's say, meditate for the first time. So you will need a lot of time to make peace with your thoughts and to have your mind still, let's say. But after a while, you will see that you can get this in some seconds and in the most crowded places. So it's a training of mind, if you are asking me. And for example, now I can have my moment of stillness everywhere. I don't need anymore to get out or to escape. I can find it everywhere. It's just like a training, in my opinion. That's my not very humble opinion, but opinion, let's say.
Yeah, but you're absolutely right. I mean, from all the guests that I've had before, I mean, in the questionnaire that I ask, I say, what do you enjoy? And everybody says nature. It doesn't mean that everybody actually goes out and does something now, but they've all said nature. And yeah, I just think that it's great to be out there. If you completely switch off, turn off your mobile phone, just get away from anything, and you're just at one with nature, then you come back refreshed, you come back feeling good. And if you just take a moment, you can meditate, and if you wish, but just to take a moment, just to listen, just to sit there in the quietness and just listen to the surroundings, and then start using your senses. I mean, the senses of smell. What do you smell when you're there? And different seasons have different smells. And then touch things. I mean, what do things feel like? Hug a tree. I mean, if that's what you wish. But I mean, it does make you feel more comfortable and relaxed. So I love it.
Yes, and COVID limited us with senses, at least with the sense of smell. Because a lot of people had this. I don't know how it is about you, but here in Romania, we we were really limited by COVID. Even now, I don't have my full spectrum, let's say, of smell totally. What I wanted to say that, yes, I believe that we are very disconnected from the nature and from our nature as well. I really believe that mostly some people are having sicknesses because they are disconnected with nature. If we can very easily see to animals again, because you see them how they stay in the sun and how they are trying to feel the earth. We are not doing this, although we have the same elements, meaning we belong to nature. And of course, that we are speaking about this in some very hard times for our nature, because our activities and our recklessness, I would say, is putting us in a very difficult moment of our history, if I may say so, and will become even more difficult if we will not really wake up.
I absolutely agree with that. I mean, we've had previous guests that they are going back into nature. I mean, they're starting kind of a new earth communities, and it's all about being at one with nature, harnessing nature, what we can extract from nature that's actually good for us, natural things, natural products, and a natural way of living, rather than this kind of artificial way that we live at the moment, which is only getting worse, right? So it's about reconnecting ourselves to basically the core essence of where we've come from and going back to that, but leveraging on innovation that's going to make it not going backwards in the way that you live, but going forward, but with your connecting more on the emotional kind of spiritual side of who you are. But anyway, I can also connect you with some of these previous guests, because I think, I mean, what you've said and shared, there's a lot in common with some of the other guests. So anyway, we don't want to talk about this all night, or all day. We want to talk about some other things. So you also mentioned books and music, right? So maybe music first, because I know books, there's probably a lot more, and that will lead us on to what you're doing now. So tell us about the music. What do you love about music?
No, well, I cannot live without music, meaning I need it all the time in some form. Yes, I'm playing piano sometimes, but not often. I really, really don't have time. And yes, I know that everybody says I don't have time, but I really don't right now, because there were periods in my life where I chose to have time, and I had time to think and time to reanalyze my life and put it on track. I gave myself time when I needed. And I believe that human beings are, we pass through some cycles. So now I'm in a cycle that I enjoy being in the peak of it. This doesn't mean that after 1 month or 2 months, I will not find my time again. But in this moment, I enjoy what I'm doing. Coming back to music, I enjoy a lot of types of music. I really love music. And again, because you spoke about some disconnect, that we are disconnected from nature. I believe that this nature we speak about, it's only one nature. When we speak about our nature and the nature that is outside of us, practically is the same thing. And that's why reconnected with ourselves, we reconnect us automatically to the exterior nature. This is something that we don't get it. And we don't get it that nature is fine without us. We are not fine without nature. And of this righteousness that we think we have of doing what we please, it's again coming from our disconnection. But I believe that some people are starting to think different from now on. I'm speaking about this in my books also, because even if I'm writing fictional stories, these fictional stories always have some shades of psychology and inner connection. And I'm speaking in this last book of mine that it's called Rusalka, about a creature of the river. and I'm speaking again about the importance of nature. But of course, I'm putting it in nice stories because people don't like to hear you have to do this. You have to present them a story that will be charming for them to read, and then so you are not communicating straight your opinions, because will look like you are giving them some directions, and we don't like to follow generally, and I can understand this. So, but me as a writer, I am forced to give my message. Just I'm putting it in another direction with a filter, and this filter is my book.
Okay, excellent. I'm just going to pause you a little bit there, right? Because I want to go more into these books. But on the music side, you play an instrument.
Yes.
You play the piano.
Yes.
Right, and you pretty good at it? I mean, you played it as a kid?
No, I'm not good at it. I don't know. I am an amateur, but I really like it, and I'm playing it classical music.
Ah, very nice.
I love Beethoven.
All right. Because my eldest son, he's 9. He started 2 years ago, and we were trying to find an instrument for him. And yeah, he was trying out different things, and he sat with the piano, and yeah, he heard the teacher play, and then he mimicked it straight away. And she thought, "Wow, how can you do that?" And it was kind of
yes, this is rare. This is rare. He's native.
No, absolutely. So she thought, oh, okay then. So he started the piano lessons with one hand the first week, and it was too easy. She already started in the second lesson, like with 2 hands. And then she asked him to learn to read music, and he can read music. I mean, and he can play with 2 hands. Like he's playing, he's crossing his hands over. He's not even looking. He's looking around elsewhere, and he's playing. And she thinks he's a genius, but he won't admit it. He won't play in public. And when we go around to friends that have a piano, I'll say, "Oh, Tom, go and play." And then he'll mess around with one finger, and he'll play like some silly stuff like "Happy Birthday." And I think
he doesn't. I believe that he doesn't feel the need to show off. For now, it's an internal thing that he is enjoying it, and I think that it's great that way.
No, it is. It's amazing. We try not to push him now to get him to show off. And his teacher says he needs to practice like at least 10 minutes per day, and he can't be bothered. But he's still just a genius, right? Right? He will
like he did this before, isn't it?
Which is pretty good, because like sometimes, particularly with kids, they can get some tension and some anger, and the way that he takes it out, he goes to play the piano. And yeah, I'll have to make him more angry so he can play the piano more. But anyway,
yes,
we just digress. But I mean, it's great when you can find your gift. And if it wasn't for the opportunity of taking him there, maybe he would never have found that. And I'm still looking for mine, actually. So I think it's the bagpipes, but I've never tried them, because I'm Scottish, you see. And every time I hear the bagpipes, it kind of gives me goosebumps, and I feel good. And I feel that's my Scottish roots. And I think if only I could play. And then people say, "Well, have you ever tried?" And I, no. Right. So maybe it could be my thing, but I've never tried it.
I think that God doesn't make mistakes, and he doesn't forget anything. So, each person will be put on its way when it's needed. For example, and I will give you an example that will be connected with everything that we spoke until now. So about music, I always liked Greek music, and I found out a bit later in life that I have some Greek roots, but I knew already. I was listening to music. I worked in a company that was Greek. I also have Ukrainian roots and Polish. It's a bit more complicated, but somehow and Bulgarian, Boyan. And they were part of my life, even me, before knowing about it. And this is amazing. That's why I'm telling you that, of course, it's a plan. With yours, for sure.
Yeah. I remember Greek music. I mean, when I was a lot younger, we used to go with our friends like to the Greek islands on holidays, like Corfu, Rhodes.
Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, I loved it. But there was always like the wine drinking,
yes,
and the Greek dances and the plate smashing. right?
Yes.
So we used to mess around. We found the wine, excuse me, so awful. Well, at that age we did. It was so awful. We used to mix it with Sprite, like to make it kind of like a spritzer, and it tasted much better. But it was funny when the dancers had finished, they would leave, but there was still a stack of plates. So we would like, come on, you go on the stage and you start dancing and throw the plates down. And it was so funny because the audience like joined in and clapped, and then we were kind of on there.
I think that if you want to understand the Greek spirit, the best book for this would be Zorba the Greek by Nikos Kazantzakis. Because this is what the Greeks means. First of all, it's history, it's respect, it's living life at the fullest, and the expression of Greek people, it's something that is very strong, in my opinion.
Yeah,
and this is the best book that I would recommend to anybody.
And the movie is My Big Fat Greek Wedding, so you can also
Greek weddings, yes. I've been to two, actually, two Greek weddings, and yes, all the time they were throwing plates, and I really like Greeks, because I don't know if you can say anything about Greeks, but for sure you can say that they are free.
Yeah, I think maybe it's a good business to like start a pottery shop. I mean, creating plates, because they smash a lot.
Yeah, isn't it?
But I mean, I love.
It's very liberating, the act itself, you know.
Yeah, it is. I mean,
did you try to smash something, James, when, I don't know, in a bad moment? Did you try to smash some plates?
Well, I've smashed some at home by mistake, and
no, it doesn't count. It has to be with anger. You know, it's really working.
But I think sometimes that release of letting something go and smashing plates is maybe not a bad thing.
Maybe it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, maybe not a bad thing. Right,
yes.
They also throw napkins. They have such
I saw this in Bulgarian also.
Yes, we have also in some pubs they practice it.
It's a Balkanic habit, more extended. Yes.
Anyway,
James is quite now he's saying, okay, maybe
James,
it's a bit weird in the south of Europe.
Yeah.
We don't throw to anybody who is new, so just when you feel relaxed enough, then we throw to you.
Anyway, just moving on. So, I mean, I love Greece. I love the islands. I mean, the islands are absolutely beautiful. The food is great. The people are friendly. I mean, I highly recommend. I mean, I think I need another trip there. I think it's such a beautiful place. Yeah. Anyway, I have been to Romania. I'm just digressing a little bit. I was there my first trip there was in 1989. Yeah, a significant time of year, actually. And then I've been more recently. We have friends that actually live in Bucharest as well. So
I hope you haven't been in December as well.
I have been when it's been cold, and it was pretty cold. But mainly I've been in the summertime.
Yes.
I've been this year in Bucharest, and also several times also during the COVID. So I also witnessed the lockdowns and like not being able to move much, everything closed. It was pretty depressing too.
Now it's better, I can promise.
Yeah, it's better now. This year it was nice in the beginning of the year when I was.
Yeah. I know we could digress and talk about that and talk about my trip to Romania. We went to a place called, I think it was Galatz or something like that, near the Black Sea. Yes. But anyway, that's a long story and a long history and a long time ago. But anyway, so let's move on. The books are very, very fascinating because the books are going to lead us on to kind of what you're doing now as well. So you are an author of 8 books, I believe.
Yes.
And just tell us about the books. Why did you write the first one? What is the first one? And then are they all kind of the same type of books, or they're all completely different?
No, they are completely different because, and I'm not even trying to find explanation for this, because I believe that if it's something that it's really meaningful for us, is change. So I change my books while I change myself, and it's normal to be that way and not to remain on the same level, in my opinion. So I started to write in a period of my life when I had time to think. Oh, Larissa is writing us. You definitely should come again, because Bucharest is also named Little Paris. Yes, it's true, but you have to come in summertime, James. Coming back to the discussion. So yes, I wrote in a moment where my mind was at peace. So I made a lot of sacrifices, because 8 books while I was still working means that in the evening, while other people are, don't know, relaxing, I was writing. In the weekends, I was writing. When other people maybe go to vacation, I was writing. So it's an effort. I always have inspiration, because I don't believe in writer's block. This doesn't exist. It's like, I don't know. Yes, it's true that writing, it's a vocation. It's not exactly
let me just ask you then. Maybe you could say that to Boyan about writer's block, because he is going to be one of the 12 authors in our first edition book. And I don't know if he's written anything. Have you written anything yet, Boyan?
Yes, 300 words.
300 words. It's a beginning.
I have a plan, 300 words. We have such weekly meetings. So I share that my problem is also kind of problem with communication. So I'm jumping from this to that. So I need, let's say, somebody to focus me on, to put me on the track to go forward in what I write.
Actually, I'm also teaching a course that it's called the Architecture of Creative Writing. So I am preparing, let's say, people that they want to write, and they want to write a book, or I don't know, whatever they want to write. I'm having a course for them. So I forgot to put this link also on.
Yes, it will be really helpful.
Yeah.
You should definitely join our group then, because we need some creative experience, right? Because I think everybody's got a book inside them, or multiple books inside them. It's just like making that start on how to, what are the first words I write? How do I start? Where am I going with this journey? And they kind of got the start, the middle, and then the end. And people just don't know where to start. And then they procrastinate and just don't make a start because they're confused. Yet they do have the story inside. That story is crying out to come out, but they won't write anything on a piece of paper. And I found that even with the people that we've got in our book, that they all want to write. And some of them were very eager and they started straight away. And then the others like, well, I'll start next week, next week, and next week. And next week became 5 months later and they haven't written anything. So come and join us.
Yes, this is the procrastination everybody speaks about. I think that writing, it's an energy. So you have to enter in it. It's not so much, you are not going there and having your ideas, because maybe you have none in this moment. What you have to do is maybe to read a little, I don't know, some phrases from your favorite books, just to open the laptop with the idea that you already know what you have to do. That's what I'm doing. And it never fails. So no worries. You don't have anything in your mind. You are just blank, but you know that you know. Is it enough eloquent so you understand what I'm saying? Because people are putting pressure and they want to know, to think with the end. But when you write, it's not like this. You just have to enter in the flow. And it's very simple to do it if you really trust that you will know what to do. And it never fails. So this is the reason that I never have these writer's blocks, because I know that I will know in the moment that I will start writing.
I love it. And
everything that can help you, even a song, another book, to see maybe an interview of your favorite author, anything can put you in this state of flow. And after that, it's really easy. You don't make it with effort.
Yeah, that reminds me. Yeah, when I was starting mine, I'm still writing my part as well for the book, and I've kind of split it into 3 sections. So I've written kind of the intro, then I've got kind of the middle bit, and then how I'm going to wrap it up. And I find that listening to music as well, sometimes the lyrics in songs that inspire you to recall something that is trapped inside that you want to bring out, and that kind of helped me. I actually helped me also with public speaking, right, to tell a story rather than just start talking. So I wanted to tell a story. So I already had in my mind the story I wanted to share. I just needed to put it in a way that I could articulate that and get it out that was actually meant something rather than just how I felt. So then tell us about the first book that you wrote. What type of book is it?
Actually, there were 2 books that they were similar. Mm-hmm. And these 2 books were lighter books, so they were very suitable for teenagers, let's say, because I wrote with the mind of that time when I wrote the books. And I didn't have a particular feeling when I just wrote the first book, because I knew that will come more. And I knew that this is my path, meaning when you know, nobody can teach you anything. And this is interesting about writings and about knowing, because it's very important to know that you know. And if you don't know, to know that you don't know. And writers, this is connected to what you said about stories and your beliefs, because they are really, really connected. Because we are our past stories and what we believe about our past stories. The difference between us now and our future story, it's our beliefs about the story that we tell. So we become the stories we tell to ourselves based on our beliefs. This is very interesting. And this is, here we are speaking about the decision of your beliefs and the choice of your beliefs. And I always consider that it's better that you say something wrong than to accept something that somebody tells you that, and it's better. Yes, please.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I love that kind of knowing, you know what you know, and you know what you don't know.
Yes. And even what you don't know is better than what somebody else knows about you.
Yeah, that's a nice quote. I'll have to write that one down.
And this is interesting about writers and stories, because writers should love people, because we write stories about people, for people. So no matter what you do and from which angle you choose to see the writing, you are still reaching people somehow. That's why I don't believe in writers that are put on a pedestal, and I believe in the writers that are touching people's hearts. Now, of course, it sounds a bit like Princess Diana, but that's the truth of it. This is why you write, because you need to have an impact on other people's lives, let's say. You have a responsibility. And this is connected also with what we spoke earlier about the fact that I'm never speaking something bad. I don't criticize because I don't believe in critics. I believe in because when you criticize, it means that you put yourself on a higher step, let's say, and you see from up to down. And that's I don't believe in this. And you want to accept the other person to accept what you say without you to accept what other people has to say. That's interesting about it. So I don't believe in critics. Every time that I'm speaking about something that I really like and enjoy. This is somehow connected also with what I'm doing as a TV host.
Yeah, I actually love what you're saying. And it just makes you think about how you communicate actually with people in general. Yes. I mean, rather than saying, if someone says, oh, do you like what I'm wearing or whatever, I mean, it's too easy to put yourself kind of on that pedestal, and maybe the ego in you is talking and not really you, because as we mentioned before, whatever, there's an action and then there's a reaction. So what reaction do you want to stir or create? And if you said something, whatever you say, there's an action, there is an action, and it's going to create a reaction. So if you said to someone looks awful, or that book is terrible, or I didn't like that, well, what reaction are you going to create for that person? You're going to make them feel miserable or upset or feeling annoyed. And they're going to think, well, hang on a minute, that's your opinion. And then you get into a big debate about opinions rather than maybe the book or the situation.
I will take a second to say hello to Andrea and Miara. Miara is from Sweden, James, so we have something in common already.
Yes, so welcome those that have just joined. You will not be on video unless you speak, because the video goes to the box of the person speaking. So if you're on mute, then you won't be seen. And yeah, feel free to chat as well. If you want to ask questions or you want to interact, then you're free to do so as well.
About action and reaction is very interesting what you said, because I thought about this a lot of times. And when somebody, for example, let's say very simple question is asking how I'm looking or something, and you have to say the truth, to say what you believe, and in the same time to sound good. But I think in everything you can just apply the same principle that you are applying it in love. If you cannot see the good in the other person, the best even in the other person, I don't think that your connection it's leading you somewhere.
Yeah, no, I agree. So let's talk about what you do. So you are also a TV host on a show in Romania. And tell us about the show. What is the show? And what is it that they present? How long is it for? Is it weekly? Is it daily? Is it monthly? Tell us a bit more about the show.
Yes, it's weekly. It's called BookMedia. And I'm very happy to do what I like. So I am forced, let's say, to read one book in 1 week. This is quite challenging when you are speaking about, let's say, crime and punishment. And every time I have to read the book and to tell my opinion about it. Again, I never criticize. I'm always speaking about the books that I really enjoy, as we spoke earlier. I have very interesting guests that we all have something to learn, or they have interesting stories. Most of them actually, they are authors or writers. And it's very interesting because in the beginning we didn't know if the project will work, because in Romania, let's say, we still have some challenges. I think we have a mic issue. In Romania, it's still challenging to have something that has audience and is connected with culture. So we said, okay, it's about culture, so it may work, it may not work. We will see about it. And but the interesting fact that not only that it worked, but it has a really great audience. So here I am after 2 years. Miara, you have a problem with your microphone? Yeah, great. After 2 years, we still have BookMedia. We are still presenting books. Now I also have some publishers, some editors that they are helping me, and we are doing very good things together.
So how long has the show been running for?
2 years.
Wow.
Already 2 years, yes.
So you've been reading a book every week for 3 years?
Yes. And I love this because this is forcing me to accumulate knowledge very fast. Maybe I wouldn't do this if I wouldn't be forced also by this TV show.
So maybe you go in the Guinness Book of Records for the amount of books that you've read.
Yeah, it's possible, yeah.
Right. So are there any particular types of books, or it could be anything?
Could be anything, actually. And because I'm very curious, I don't have a typo, meaning I really like all the books if the author really has something to say. It can be fictional, it can be self-help, it can be philosophy, it can be psychology, it can be just anything. And I'm connecting the book with my guests. So if we are speaking about, last time we spoke about happiness and how to achieve happiness. And I chose a teacher, a doctor, of course, in philosophy. And of course, she was an author too. And we spoke about happiness, why we are not happy, how to understand happiness, what is happiness, because we want to be happy, but we don't know what happiness is or what it's not. And of course, philosophy means more questions than answers. So we have really, really interesting debates.
Yeah, it's quite ironic. Yeah.
Why?
It's quite ironic, actually, because, yeah, there's a post about, on LinkedIn, there's a post with a good friend talking about the purpose of life is happiness. And
Yes.
I thought, I actually commented on that. Everyone said, yes, I agree. We all seek to achieve happiness, but happiness is an emotion, is a feeling. And what could be someone's happiness could be another person's misery. So, yeah, I kind of question that in the way that it's a feeling. I might feel happy with something, but on the other side, you might think, well, that's upsetting to me. And so happiness is what we want to feel, but then what's the action that we take to create that happiness?
But maybe there is no action to take. That's the thing. And I wrote in one of my books that unhappy is the person who is running about others' ideas of happiness. And happiness is, as Tolstoy said, that people are unhappy because they don't know that they are happy already. So connecting the dots now, happiness indeed, it's a feeling, it's a state that we are always trying to reach it in outside and not inside. Yeah, and this is our drama.
No, exactly. We had another guest that talked about love. Everything's about love. You've got to feel love. And then everything that she does is all about bringing love to one another, and which love also brings happiness. So, I mean, all of these are connected. I mean, at the end of the day, I just say that there's two fundamental things that while we're here, I mean, this is my opinion, is to serve humanity and to preserve humanity, period. That's it. And then hopefully that brings happiness, love, joy, and all the emotions and feelings that you get with it. But
it's happiness in serving others. It's true.
Yeah.
And love.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully by doing this show, I'm bringing happiness to the audience, happiness to you. And then by doing that, I'm feeling happy. So we're all happy, and it's something great.
And your happiness is my happiness. And if I'm happy and I am preoccupied of being happy and you having happiness because of my happiness, we just have to be happy our own. So we will all be happy. Interesting.
Yeah, absolutely, because that radiates outwards. If we were here talking negative things, then we'll all leave this show like feeling negative and annoyed, and then we'd end up like in conversations of things that are negative on a lower vibration. We want to raise that vibration to something positive. So even if there's a negative situation, we reframe it and we look at it in a positive way, that, well, what have we learned from that, and make it a positive. And then we're on a higher vibration and we feel better. And then it's about that wellness and well-being and quality of life that we're trying to help one another with. And it's much better. But anyway, we could talk about that all day as well.
About happiness, I have a short story. My boss, I used to work in Hungary, and my boss, she was very emotional. She was opening the door. Boyan, client is not happy with you. I said, why? You told them they need to pay for a consultant. Yeah, they should be happy. There is a consultant that they can help them. They should be happy, not unhappy about this. So it's a different situation. Depends how you see it. you can see it negative or positive, and it's also like what is in your mind, how you look at the things. It's like somebody's not nice, ugly, let's say, but then if you search for the beautiful, then you see the nice things inside this person, not.
Yeah, but Boyan, you have a story in Bulgaria. Now, I don't know if it's really Bulgarian or not, but it's about one fisherman, and this fisherman was fishing, of course, and staying near the river, and one businessman is coming and telling, okay, why you are doing this? You can learn how to fish other people, and they will fish, and you will have more money from them because you will teach them. And the fisherman was saying, okay, but why do I want this? And he said, because you will have time and you will be relaxed and you will be happy. And he said, and how will I do that? You will hire some fishermen, you will have more income and more income. And the fisherman was asking, and then what? How will I be happy? And he said, then you will have more time and you will be more relaxed and you will be happy and you will have a lot of things. And he said, but I'm happy now.
Yes.
Yes. I know.
In fact, it was leading to have
was relaxed now.
Fishing.
Yeah, I know that story as well, or another version of it. Like the big sales guy came from New York and he met this fisherman in this quiet little village in the middle of nowhere, and he said like invest, like you seem to be catching the fish, like invest, get like more boats. So he ends up like you could have a fleet of boats, you could move to New York, you can live the high life. And he said, then what do I do at the end of it? And he said, well, then you can retire. And he said, well, retire and do what? And he said, like, sit on his little fishing boat and catch fish. And he said, well, I'm already doing that. Right? Why would I want to go through all of that pain to get back to where I am now? And yeah, so this is kind of a different mindset. I mean, we seek happiness and we're seeking our purpose in life, but maybe it's right in front of our nose and we don't see it. And we're trying to do everything there is to find it, but it's already there. And it's a bit like, it just made me think of kind of the Wizard of Oz. I mean, the lion goes there to find his courage. Well, he already had the courage. The Tin Man goes there to find a heart. Well, he already had a heart. He just didn't know he had it, and so on. So I think we've already got it in us. We just don't know where to look. And that's the problem.
Yes, indeed. We have everything that we need to be happy.
Yeah. So anyway, let's talk about, you also do coaching. And just want to kind of, you're a coach as well?
Yes.
All right. So let's just talk a bit more of that, because I got a good feeling where this is going. So I want to learn more about that. And do you think that has developed because of the amount of books that you've read? Because you've read such a diverse set of books. I mean, hats off to you as well. I mean, it's a massive achievement to read a book a week, and not just read it, but you have. But
these are not the only books that I'm reading. The one that I'm forced to, not forced, the one that I have to order to read. So I'm reading other books as well.
Yeah, actually, just quickly to kind of wrap up on the book side. So on the show, it's a live show. You have it. The guest is the excuse me, is the author of the book.
Sometimes okay. I'm presenting a book that with the author itself there, but not all the time.
Okay. And
this would be harder when I have Dostoevsky, but in my plan.
Okay, but you pick the book you're gonna read.
Yes, I'm picking the book, and I have also an agreement with the editor, because I told them, you can send me a mountain of books because I will present the books that I believe in. So I have no pressure, and that's why I can afford myself to be really authentic when I'm presenting a book. And yes, please.
I'll give you my kids' storybook, the bedtime storybook. Then you can read it, and then I'll be your guest.
Okay. I mean, we can do that.
Yeah, no, and then that'd be great, because I mean, just digressing a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I do bedtime stories with my kids, and they one day, my eldest son at the time, he was around 5, he said, Daddy, I don't want these stories that you keep reading me all the time. He says, I want my stories about my imagination, my creativity, and my journeys and my adventures and everything about him. Why can't he be in them? So then we created our own storybooks about his marvelous adventures. And the very first one was the book I showed you about him going to the moon. So then we audio recorded it. So he could listen back in years to come. It's just that memorabilia, listening to yourself, like in a story. So we called this interactive storytelling because it wasn't just me telling the story. I'm just the guide. It's not my story. I'm just like kind of keeping him on the track. And it's his story. And I'm just going to help extract that story from him. And then we do it in a way that it's waking up in the morning, having the adventure and going to bed. So it's educational at the same time. So do you do anything on the kid side of things? I mean, when you talk about storytelling and reading books, are they more for adults that have written a book, or is there any kid stuff in there?
Sometimes I'm presenting some books about children, but not very often. Not very often. Because, yes, please.
If I came on your show, because I'm speaking in English, I know, and it's in Romanian, would...
It's okay if we have a translator.
All right. And then if we talked about kid storybooks, I think, personally, I think that would resonate with parents that got kids. Because I believe they all should be doing it. I mean, we've got like 400 or so audio recordings of the kids telling this, they are telling the stories. And it's so magical just for us. I mean, the kids love listening back to their stories and they laugh so much about it. I mean, hearing themselves telling the story, it's just the feeling that you're saying that you want to generate is the happiness. I mean, you can see that radiating and say, Daddy, I want to listen to my story and me telling it. And I think, okay, then it saves me having to tell a bedtime story. And go on.
Because, James, we are not training ourselves to be happy. We are training ourselves to be unhappy. That's why the children are happy, because they didn't have our training yet.
No, I completely agree with that as well. I think sometimes going to school makes you unhappy, right? But that's another subject. So let's go on to the kind of the coaching. So when did the coaching start and what type of coaching to do?
As you already noticed, they are again connected. And because I told you that real writers should love people because they write for people, about people. So a writer is somebody who loves people. And that means empathy. And that means you will not judge your characters, but you understand them. And as Gabor Mate said, a lot of the psychologists we have, they put the questions wrong. So one of the questions is, what's wrong with you? When it should be, as Gabor Mate said, what happened to you? It's a very different story that you ask about a person. So yes, the writers love the people, so they have empathy. They should understand people and their reaction, because when you are building a character, it's supposed to make sense. Why he's choosing something and not doing another thing. You need to enter in the psychology of people. And because Andrea and Mioara that join us are from my last course of creative writings. So I was really pushy with them, and I was telling them to understand how to create a story about a person who is crazy, or maybe some people, homeless people. And because you need to understand each aspect of life and each aspect of human beings, because we have some traumas, very strong, and they are collective traumas, some of them quite individual, particular, but we can heal only together. And this is very interesting because it's connected somehow with another thing that I will do, because on 4th of November, I will go to make some like some story reportage for BookMedia, because one guy who is homeless he wrote a book, but this book was written on napkins each time that he could. So one editor, one publishing house from Romania took the works, and now he will have a book launch. And I will go there to shoot, and I'm really, really happy that I can do this, because it will be in one center for homeless people. And coming back to the coaching, yes, I love people stories. Isn't this connected with writing? People stories. So you hear a lot of stories. Some of them, they are very traumatic in itself. And but if you really see the person in front of you without judging and without putting filters and trying to understand them and understand from where came all the things, and most of the time, not most of the time, all the time, it's from childhood in a form or another, because it's already proven that even the people that they have traumas after, let's say, war or death or divorce, they have some PTSD. The ones that they develop PTSD are the ones that they had already troubles in childhood. So again, we are coming back in childhood, not matter what we do. In this time of us where we shaped our ideas about reality and who we are.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I mean, I say basically life is one big story.
But which story will you tell about you?
That's the thing. We have so many stories about ourselves and how we feel. And I think you can pick out the story according to the situation. So it's not always the same story. And I feel people that are kind of well-read have a more of an open mind in the way that they can recall something and bring it out. I mean, a lot of the things that you said today makes me think about what I say now. I mean, I've heard lots of people saying, never talk negative things, always reframe it into something, all right, you don't have to say it's negative, but you can say it, oh, it's not so good, right? But keeping it on a positive. And yeah, I just think that storytelling and extracting stories from people is an emotional journey as well. You're digging deep. And I'm convinced everybody is a storyteller and everybody can write books. And even though they say, well, I can't tell stories, I say, you do. I say like when you're at a coffee break, when you're down the pub, when you're at work, you're telling stories. You're telling stories about what you did the night before or what you're going to do on the weekend or whatever. You're telling a story. And then if you think about dissect it into the way that you tell it, why are you telling it? What reactions you want to provoke at the end of it? And you have a desired outcome in mind. That's why you're telling the story or the joke or whatever. And if you think about that, then it all makes perfect sense. And we all do it naturally. Yeah, when someone says, write a story, well, where do I start? You say, well, I never asked you that when you came down the pub the other day and you told me that story. You just told me the story. And so we all...
but
yeah.
You see, the story that we are telling about ourselves when we are alone and the stories about ourselves when we tell to the other people, they are very two different stories.
It can be, but it doesn't mean... It's just a...
No, it shouldn't be. Actually, it shouldn't be. It should be the same story.
It should, but it's a different aspect to you. I think that depending on the frame of mind that you're in and the situation, then you're not telling a lie. You're just telling a different... Like when you've got different friends and different interests, you tell different friends about the interest that you're sharing with those friends that have that interest. You're not going to tell them about something they got zero interest in at all. So it's kind of the same.
Yeah, but I'm speaking about the story about yourself. So your story, because it should be the same story that you tell to the other people, of course, on their language, translated on their language, as we are speaking now in English, but it should be the same story. And most of the people, not most of the people, but a lot of people, they are telling very different stories to other people and to themselves. And there is no connection in between their thoughts, their actions, and what they are saying.
And there are different reasons about this. It's about psychology, how maybe some people really want to show themselves in different light to the others, that what they are really, to not talk or to put everything on the table. So because there might be also maybe like a security, if you tell too much and you show yourself, that makes you weak in front of the others. Maybe something like this.
When you tell another story of yourself, it's because you want to obtain something that you don't think that you will obtain it if you will tell the truth about yourself. That's basically the idea of it.
Yeah, there's lots of different ways to look at this. And I mean, when it's about yourself, this about you should be the same. I'm the same person regardless of who I talk to. It's me, right? But depending on what story you want to share about yourself is different. I mean, I might want to share a story about my childhood to some people, but I would never share that with other people because to me, it's too private and personal. So it's not that I'm hiding anything. It's just I don't want them, I don't feel comfortable telling them that. Whereas a story about me now is still me, but it's the me that I want them to see, not the story. If you understand.
But the people will see what they want to see. You cannot convince anybody of something that they really already thought about.
That's true, but that's their right to see what they want to see. I mean, we can all look at people and be judgmental, and I see one thing and you see something different. Now, that's only because of maybe what I've learned on my journey, that this is how I compute that information that's coming to me, and then how I'm dealing with it inside. I'm making a decision based on what I know. Now, it could be the wrong decision, but to me, it's the right decision based on what I see. So it is a perception.
Yes, James, but a tree will still be a tree if you look at it, and I will look at it. And there is some universal thought, some universal truth, and there are some shades. And we are careful with these shades because this is what we are speaking about when we speak about perspective, although the tree will remain the same. Yes, it's very interesting, and this is part of my coaching because it's again, every person has traumas. These traumas are very visible because there are the things we are trying to hide the most. So if you follow this thing,
actually, you said something negative. Everybody has problems. Everybody has things that aren't so good.
Yes, but it's nothing wrong with that.
Oh, okay.
Everybody had some traumas in the childhood, not matter if they want to believe it or not. That's true.
Okay.
Because we are coming from parents that some of them, they survived to the wars, let's say, or they had really they lived harsh times. And because of this, of course, everybody was very preoccupied by surviving and not the emotional survivings. These are some concepts that they are newer. So there is no blame in this. It's not negative.
Yeah,
it's just the way that things were in the past.
I mean,
because now, excuse me, but now we are thinking about happiness. Before, our parents, they were not thinking about happiness. This is some level of comfort that we have now of our times. So it's no negative.
Yeah. I mean, I'm all for bringing happiness, and you can have maybe different levels of happiness. I'm genuinely happy. I'm happy with these sorts of things, but these other things I'm still struggling with that really do not make me happy. And I can't seem to shift them because they're things that is part of everyday life. and I would rather not have them. If I didn't have them, I'd be happy. Now, I mean, without
Yes, but
going
yeah, I understand what you're saying. And this is very funny because I thought a lot about this, and I'm thinking how our life would be if we would not have the challenges. And I cannot imagine anything more boring or unsatisfying. And these obstacles are our challenges for finding our happiness all the time.
Yeah.
They are actually amazing things.
Yeah. So with your courses, tell us a bit more about what you do. So are they one-to-one? Are they in groups? Are they...
No, they are in groups. If you want, Andrea or Miwara, you can share your ideas about the course if you would like to. Because as I told you, they were in my last course that I don't know, maybe 1 week ago ended. And we are each time a bit sad because we like to learn together, and we are becoming friends, and we have a group on WhatsApp. We are sharing our ideas. I am expecting their books after that. It's very interesting. I am having this idea that we learn from each other. I don't teach them something. We learn from each other. And I really had very talented people. Native talented, as your boy is with piano. And I'm very happy because I can interfere, let's say, in the road and maybe speed up a bit the process of writing that maybe, in my opinion, would have happened anyhow, with or without me. And I really hope that they learn something useful, or at least they learn how to trust more in themselves, as I told you earlier, that even if you say something or do something that you perceive at the moment of being wrong is better than the truth of somebody else. So you really have to believe in yourself. Not matter what, Sometimes, by the way, because I told you I had some years of psychoanalysis, and sometimes I was asking my psychoanalyst, if all the people around you are telling you that you are wrong, or not all the people, some people, that means you are wrong or not. And he said, there are a lot of leaders in our history that they were very loved by people and turned out to be very bad for them. So always trust yourself. I would not say the other thing that Freud said, that maybe you are just surrounded by, let's say, stupid people. I would not say this, but something like that. Yes, you have to. But each time that you present an opinion about anything, you really have to think of the good side and what you can do good with it. Not how you can harm somebody, not how you can prove that you are right, but how it can come something good out of it. This should be the beginning of every intention.
Yeah, I love what you say. And you're absolutely right. I mean, you have to think, again, going back to what's the desired outcome you want to achieve from whatever you do. So, and I mean, this is a great topic, and we could talk all day about it. I mean, in the way that also how people perceive you. I mean, I was having this discussion the other day. I could walk into a high street in a suit and looking very elegant and business professional, or I could walk in there like in a football shirt and looking scruffy and looking like maybe a football hooligan. I mean, people would perceive me in a different way, but I'm the same person, right? It's just what I'm wearing. Now, because of influences and everything else, you can assume one thing or another. Just because I'm looking like a professional businessman, yeah, I could be a really nasty, horrible person. But the guy that's looking like a football supporter could be the most wonderful person you will ever meet. But it's our perception, and it's a personal perception. And sometimes we're very standoffish about what we see, and we avoid, and rather than engage and try to understand. And I try to find that, yeah, I'm always open to listen, and then from listening and understanding, I can make a better judgment rather than just judging on a perception. And so, anyway, it's a great conversation and something. I mean, I always encourage people like, let's have a panel discussion about it. Let's have a few people and just talk about something and get other people's point of view, because again, it's a personal point of view. It doesn't mean it's right. It doesn't mean it's wrong. It's just my point of view. And don't argue with me because of point of view. You say your point of view and I'll listen as well. I don't have to agree with it. Yeah. I don't have to disagree. I just have to accept as a point of view. So with your coaching, yes, because you said you play the piano, I guess it's a physical gathering. Yeah, I mean, is it one-to-one or is it a group of people?
No. I'm playing to the piano by myself, or I am taking lessons. I'm not giving lessons, piano lessons.
No, not with the piano, but I mean, when you have the people in your coaching.
Creative lesson? The coaching is individual.
All right, individual. It's not in a group.
Yes. Yes, and I wanted to tell you that regarding what you said, yes, it's true. It's your opinion. It's my opinion. It's somebody else's opinion. But your opinion and your freedom of opinion is ending where you are harming somebody else. This is it has to be very clear, because in nowadays, everybody thinks that they can share their opinions. But your freedom is stopping when you are hurting somebody else. So, and we are speaking about humans now, we are speaking about nature now, we are speaking about animals now. So not all opinions are having the same value, in my opinion. It has to stop somewhere where it's becoming something that it has a result that we don't want it.
I agree again. I mean, having an opinion is great. We all want the freedom of opinion and freedom of speech and the freedom to use your own mind and not somebody else's. But if it's going to cause a negative effect at the end, then should you be saying it or keeping your opinion? You've heard the expression, keeping your opinion to yourself, right? At the end of the day, it's about moving forward in a positive way. We can all talk negative again, is moving to the higher frequency. There's so much negativity around us. We could focus on...
Yes, that's why I don't contribute to negativity, because it's already very crowded and competitive area.
Yeah, there's too much of it already.
I wouldn't have a chance.
Yeah, exactly. We want to banish that negativity and say, like, you cannot... I mean, we play games like, simple games like that. Think about it, at the beginning of the day, you've got a jar that you're going to put money in. Just use money as an example. Like you're going to put in €1, $1, whatever, right, in that jar. Every time you say something positive, you put in $1. Every time you're saying something negative, you take out that dollar. And at the end of the day, have you got any money in your jar, or are you negative, right? And it's about every time you say something negative, I mean, you lose the money. And see if you can get through the day with any money in the jar. And it's quite a challenge, because throughout the day, there's always some negativity. And if you think about it and you think, oh shit, I've said something negative, right? Then just to be aware, so becoming more aware of your actions and what you say, that is maybe the first step. Because if you're not aware, you just like mouth off and everything else, and you think, well, what reaction is that going to cause? And is it a positive one or a negative one? And I mean, without going into detail, I mean, we've had the last 2 years of every negative thing possibly thrown at us from every source there is. And yeah, I mean, it's made people depressed, suicidal, and very upset. And why? Why can't we make it everything like some good news and spread the happiness and reconnect with who we really are? So just a question to you. Doing this coaching and also reading all of these books and doing the show that you're doing and talking about happiness, has it helped you internally yourself find happiness?
Yes, I think that actually it could have been it couldn't be different, because how you can find happiness if you are already happy? You are living it. You don't know the road from A to B, neither to explain to somebody else how you reached the point B. So you really need to pass to this road. And once you get it, then you can share about your opinions, or how did you do it, your vademecum, your dictionary, your road, your guide. And yes, it helped me a lot, because I told you, I think we are born happy. Then we teach ourselves to be unhappy by representing ourselves of what we have, or how the other people perceive us, instead of who we are. And then we make again this road of understanding ourselves, and to reach again the state of bliss that we had in childhood. Do you understand what I'm saying? So actually it's a returning to our happiness, because as I told you, and as you agreed already, we are happy when we are children.
Yeah, I found.
And then yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
No.
Yeah, I found that. I think as a child, you're kind of that free spirit. You could be the most happiest time of your life, because you're not. You haven't experienced enough of all kind of the negative things around the world that we grow to accept, although we dislike. And you haven't got to that stage yet. So everything is about playing and having fun, or should be, and having happiness, being a happy child. I'm not saying it's always that situation for a lot of people, but that's what we try to go back to, how those feelings were, with all that laughter, that fun, and that happiness that we enjoyed and loved every day. And now, if you think about, am I experiencing that? I mean, like laughter brings happiness. And yeah, I remember going to school, playing with my friends, walking to school. We created games really a long time ago called the laughing game. Now, you had to make your friends laugh going to school, but you can't physically touch them, so you can't tickle them, because I would lose straight away. I'm very ticklish. Right? But you could either tell a joke, you could say something funny, and whatever. And the whole idea was to make someone laugh, and whoever laughed first would be the person. It was their turn. So simple games like this, but it was so funny. And situations that happened at work that were funny, that you'd share with your colleagues when you got back in the office or back home or down the pub. And people loved the stories, and you tell the stories. And the whole idea of the story was to make people laugh. And laughing brings out that emotion of happiness. And of that happiness, if you can keep that going, is contagious. When other people see you laughing, and not even in your group, and they see a group of people laughing, they're laughing with you. They're not laughing at you. They're laughing because they want to be part of that, because it's so contagious that I want to be part of that. They're having so much fun. I want to enjoy that laughter. And I just think everything in life, if you can create what you do, I mean, that the happiness, then the world would be a much better place.
We are happy when we are children, because we do one very important thing. We chase excitement. And it's something that we don't do it in our grown-up life. I will do now this task, I will do now this meeting, and I will be better in the evening. We are procrastinating happiness or excitement. This is the lesson of our childhood, and what we should keep with us, to reach, to follow our excitement, to do the things that excite us. When we start postponing it for a better day, for a better evening, for a weekend, for the time of retirement, we forget all these good moments that we could have them now, if we would know how to chase excitement.
Yeah, you could create another book called Chasing Happiness.
Thank you. It would be a good idea.
I think a good example of this is, for example, the movies of Charles Chaplin, for example, the kids. You see how they're happy even without having what they really need. They
Yes, because they don't know that they need something.
yes,
Isn't it interesting?
Yeah,
they have all that they need to be happy to live the life as it is.
While in our society, everything around us is showing us what we should have, and we don't. That's on the base of consumerism.
Yes.
so do you think that you have found your purpose in life?
I have no idea, but I know that I really enjoy it. So as the children, I'm very excited with what I'm doing because I'm doing things that I really love. And I'm considering myself being happy just for this, and it's enough for me, really.
Yeah, there's some people, I'd love to connect you with, because I mean, there are some people I follow, particularly on LinkedIn, and there is a lady that's given up her job. She has thousands and tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of followers, and she just talks about kindness. So she said that kindness, we should all have something to do with kindness every day of our lives. And if we're not being kind, then, well, what are we doing? And then there's another one that follows everything about love. And I mean, lots of people are now thinking more sincerely about what it is that we're here for. I mean, we are human beings. We're not robots. We're not artificial intelligence. We're humans. And what are humans like? And we like happiness. We express these emotions, and we have different senses. And we want to use them more and not lose them. And we tend to lose them when we don't use them. And thinking about the kindness, the happiness, if you go about your day, I mean, they say like simple things like wishing someone good morning in the street, like holding a door open for someone to come in and out on a bus or something, like you'll find that every little thing that you do is magic. What was that song? Right. It actually manifests into something positive, right? And it's the law of the universe. Whatever you put out comes back. So if you're nice and graceful and kind to people, you'll get that back. And because that's what you're doing, the universe is replying. Now, if you're negative and you're talking about people and you talk about negative things, which we all have a habit of doing, then the next thing you get is something negative, and then that compounds the negativity, and then you carry on down that downward spiral into the lower vibrations and the dark places you don't want to be. Now, we need carry on.
About happiness, I think that you have to achieve in this life a great level of acceptance. And to think that maybe you will never have the answers of the universe. Maybe you will never have the answers. What is our purpose? We have one or not? And if you will not have these answers, what will be the next thing that you can do best for you? To accept and enjoy, isn't it? This is the next thing that you can do. Maybe you can, this is also about traumas and the road of people. If you cannot change some things, because not everything can be changed, or not everything can be changed when we want, is the best next thing that you can do? To accept it and to see from this point what you can do. So a great level of acceptance is very important in this process of happiness. Don't try to change what doesn't have to be changed, what doesn't want to be changed, and the next best thing, accept.
Yeah, I agree. I find that change starts with yourself also. I mean, once you learn, I'd say the answers aren't out there. Don't go out looking for the answers. The answers are internally. They're within you already. The answers have always been there. and you just don't know how to tap into them and find them. And once you learn how to do that, then nothing else really matters, because you are then content and you're reconnected back to source. And this is what I sincerely feel, that I found that this is the book I want to write. I've already kind of started it. I've called it The Universe in Your Mind, because we go out there and we want to discover the universe out there and beyond our planet, but we have no idea of the universe in our mind, and we don't know what levels to go down to. We can touch on kind of spirituality, but then how far and how deep do you want to go? And it is really understanding ourselves. And then we can then, any situation that we see, we know how to deal with it. And that's kind of my focus as well, on understanding myself. It starts with knowing who I am. If I don't know who I am, then how can I help others? Natasha, what do you think?
Well, that's about helping others. Sometimes the people don't even need your help, but they need to be heard of. They need to have somebody to speak with that will not judge them, that will try to understand them. This is a help in itself without some additional effort for you. Because as you said, some people are preoccupied or just they cannot detach themselves from their own experience to be able to receive somebody else's experience. This when you didn't finish the work with yourself, as you said, you cannot receive another person's share about his sharing about his feelings, because you didn't finish yours. There is no room for this. So a big part of counseling generally is just to be there, to be there fully, completely, without judgment.
I agree. So I know we could talk and talk and talk and talk a bit more.
Yeah, for sure.
I love what you do. I had no real idea what you did. And I just found that, I typically find my guests usually on LinkedIn. And I try to find people similar to the way that you do your books and read your books. People that I feel there's a connection and that resonate with me. And then I ask them if they'd like to be a guest. And I have no idea where the story's going to go. At the beginning, I never knew you from...
That's the beauty of it. Exactly. That's the beauty of it, just enjoying and taking each steps like babies, just following the next excitement. Yeah. And everything is revealed by themselves.
No, it's very true, because although I send a questionnaire out, I could follow that, but still, I like it to be kind of free-flowing in the way that I don't know where the conversation is going to go, although we need to conclude it at some point. But it's great. I've learned so much, and the audience, when they listen to this, will learn so much about you. And you're actually an amazing person, and much deeper than I imagined just from what I saw. And particularly, I couldn't read it too much because it's mainly in Romanian, although I did translate some of it. You're just a beautiful person in the way that you think, the way that you do things, and the essence of what you're doing with happiness.
Thank you. I will send you my first book in English. I will send it to Sweden.
Right.
And I really hope that very soon will come your books, Mioara, Andrea, Larissa also, she started the book. And this is another way of connecting each other through technology. Some of the best part of globalization and this technology that sometimes has some side effect that is not so great. But we are on the good side when we are connecting each other, when we are sharing our experience, our life. We can learn from each other. And as you said, we can see each other beyond all these things that we are showing to the world. And each time we discover that we are more in love of the people around us. Each time when you don't want to know somebody, it's because you know that you like them even more. And you are thinking, then how will I make room for this? Because we are taught from the beginning that we have limited resources all the time. We need to expand them. And we don't know that we have so much to give.
As I said, I love what you do. I try to, we're just going to wrap this up now, but also in your day-to-day life, there's certain people that you can't avoid. They're either friends of the family or friends of your kids or whatever. But you don't have to get into conversations with people that are negative. They may not agree with what you say. And
yes, James, because we have this thing to take it personally, but it's never about us. No. Every person is defending themselves and their own happiness. Nobody wants really to hurt us or to do something bad to us. This is what we perceive because we take it personally. In reality, they are just preoccupied of them being good with themselves. And sometimes they can hurt you by their action or by their fears. But it's not about you. It's about them.
Yeah. I just think it's in absolutely every communication you have, whether it's on email, whether it's face-to-face, on the phone, whatever. Try to keep it in a positive. Sometimes I struggle with that, particularly when something annoys me. I want to say my opinion.
It's just normal. It's okay. I even think that it's okay to do this, because I don't know if we would have another meaning, or if the universe or God wanted something different for us, we wouldn't be here. So it's okay to react. It's okay to have feelings. It's okay to question ourselves. It's okay before sleeping to think about us. Was I the best person as I really, really wanted to be today? And to answer to yourself really honestly, maybe I could do this differently. This means that you are very brave, that you can ask yourself this question and very fair with yourself. And you can even tell to yourself, you know something, I really didn't like how I reacted here. I think I could have do it a little bit better. I will do it tomorrow. And this is a great improvement. And this is already enough. We don't have to beat ourselves with this. Yeah. We are living in some very chaotic world.
Yeah, I've also found, just digressing a little bit again, some of the people that I followed on LinkedIn, they've had thousands and tens of thousands, millions of followers, and they put a post out there which is not authentic, is not them, it's been done automatically, and then you get the thousands of people, yeah, right on, man, yeah, 100%, yeah, cool, and they just do it because of the person. Now, I challenge, right? I just think, why did you write that? What were you trying to achieve by doing that? Just to have a quote, what's the point of a quote? What do you want? And then if you're not going to interact, then what's the point? So I like to challenge. So that's what I was just going to say. So I just need to ask you another last question before we kind of wrap this up. So when you read these books, every week you need to read a book. So where do you do it? Do you find a cozy seat to sit in? Or how do you do it? And where do you do it?
Oh no, everywhere. I can read everywhere. Just for example, now I'm also reading one. It's a huge book. It's like a monolithic thing, very big. The history of culture and art, and I have a lot of paintings. So I am examining them with some tools because I need to see them very big. And this is more challenging when I have really, really big books. Yes. But otherwise, I'm really reading everywhere. Right. So, and not all the books are amazing. So some of them, you can read them, but they will still be useful because you know how not to write. So this is good also. So from each experience, you have something good. If it's a great book, it's extraordinary, changed your life, inspired you. If it's not a good book, then you know how not to write. So again, it's okay. So you see, no matter what you do, you are still happy. This is unbelievable. Magic.
Okay. So as I say, I'd like to be on your show, and I'll give you an easy one because as I showed you earlier, I have this book, which I did with my son, is a bedtime storybook, right? The Marvelous Adventures of Tom and Dudu Going to the Moon, right? It's like 15 minutes to read, so you can do it very quickly. And therefore you got the rest of the week that you don't have to bother reading a book. And then I'll come on your show and I'll explain about the book and how we created the book so other parents can do it.
I have a series also of the TV show where I present some, but not me, my guest, some culture and civilization of another country. And I propose also to Mioara to speak about Sweden because she's been in Sweden, I don't know how many years, Mioara, 17, I think. And we are very interested because we didn't have anybody so far about to speak about Sweden. So we have what to learn. Yeah, we can make this for sure. We can think about some nice theme.
Yeah, I could think of ideas that we could co-host a show, right? We could do something. It could be about happiness. It could be about anything. And I think it'd be great fun. I like being able to feed off each other, because sometimes you can get tongue-tied or lose your train of thought. But if you're with someone else that's co-hosting, then you bounce ideas off each other and you support each other. So where one, you feel that you're kind of running out of steam, the other one can jump in. And it can be great fun. And I've done public speaking that way, where I've done with another guest, and we've really made it enjoyable. So it's kind of entertainment. And at the end of the day, people like to be entertained, and it's fun to do. So would you be open for that?
Yes, of course. I mean.
Okay. Anyway, I won't keep you any longer. And yeah, I absolutely love everything that you do. And I'd love to read your books if they're possible to have them done in English or audiobooks. I mean, would you make them into an audio?
Well, did I tell you about my schedule? I don't know. For sure, one of the books is translated in this moment, but it's exactly the one for ladies. But oh no, my God, how can I? You know, when you have 8 books, you forget some things. Yes, I have some things in English. I cannot believe that I'm forgetting this, really. So I have some books translated in English. If you want to, I will send it to you, but they are for Kindle, so I will give you a PDF. And I hope that the translation is good because I had time to check it, but not word by word. So we can do this.
Okay.
What about it?
Excellent. We talked, which I had completely forgotten as well, earlier about Greece. I had a guy from Greece that was a guest, and what he does in the Greek language, I mean, he gets books. I mean, a lot of people want kind of Harry Potter books, but they're not in Greek. So what he does audio recordings. So he agrees that with copyright, he's allowed to do it. I mean, using Harry Potter as an example, it doesn't have to be Harry Potter, it could be anything. But things aren't available in the Greek language. So he then does an audio of the book. So he'll have people there's the voiceover, basically. Do you want it as a man or a woman or whatever? And then they basically transcribe the book in an audio and make an audio version. And it could be used for anything. So then they've got it available that they can listen to in the car, like a Harry Potter book, or as an example. So maybe you could do that with yours, create an audio that your books, I mean, if you want them to be widely distributed around the world, then not just in Romanian, they could be in an audio that could be done in English and then make it available to everybody.
Yes, I will try to do some things that in this moment I'm not quite able to do it. And again, that's the fun of it. But it's important that we have plans and we know what we will do.
Exactly. So, yeah, lots of adventures coming. I mean, lots of excitement. You're living with happiness, which is wonderful. And
Most of the time.
I mean, I feel happy just by talking to you now. So you've actually, rubbed it off on the audience. So we're all feeling happy. So on that note, I thank you very much for being our 101st guest.
Thank you.
The biblical number 1 as well. You can't get a better number than that. So, yeah, special guest. So thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure to hear your story. And I learned so much more about you. And I will, as I said, put the links. If there's any other links that you want to share, then I'll put them in the notes and the final version of this when I post it. So thank you. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you, James.
Thank you to the audience also for listening. And if you want to contact either of us, the contact information will be made available. So thank you, Natasha, once again, for being a magical guest.
Thank you again, James. And I hope that we will get even much more inspired from now on, and we will hear some extraordinary stories. I'm sure that we will change the world just by changing ourselves with each little thing that we do.
We will change the world together, all of us. So thank you once again.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Wow, that was another featured business brought to you by Visibility Impact. If you'd like to be our next featured guest or learn how James Mofat can help you leverage on the art and power of interactive storytelling for your business, reach out and schedule a call now.